and welcome. Today is a special show on the Money Show. It's Friday and this is the Kitty Party edition. Well, we know working from home is not an easy task. Your cooker is likely to go off just at the time at which your boss calls up. Your baby perhaps is asking for help when you're in an important meeting. But despite this, women have managed to navigate the tough waters of working from home. So let's find out how they managed to do this. What is the secret behind these women working from home and managing to do such a fabulous job balancing the work-life balance? Well, I have a panel of some boss women who are with us on the show today to discuss that. Joining in, we've got Swati Bhargava, global entrepreneur and co-founder at CashKaro and EarnKaro, which is India's largest cashback site and India's first ever social cashback app. She's also a Fortune 40 under 40 entrepreneur and lives with a joint family. Next up, we've got Parul, Ohri, chief editor at Momspresso, which is India's largest content platform for moms. She's also a TEDx speaker and mom to teens. We've also got on the show Somasree Bose. She's the head of marketing home care category at Godrej Consumer Products Limited. And this features brands like Goodnight, Hit, Godrej Air. She's among the 26 women who made it to the Economic Times Women Head 2017. Won the Women Super Achiever Award and the 5th World Women Leadership Congress Awards 2018. She's also featured on the Women of Impact of the top 50 most influential women in marketing and media for 2 years in a row and has one daughter. And finally, we've also got with us Mansi, who's a psychotherapist and founder at Mansitherapy. She's an award-winning psychotherapist and the founder of Mansitherapy, which is essentially a psychological wellness center in Kolkata. Well, all you lovely women, thank you so much for joining in. I know it must have been a task perhaps to cull out this half hour without, the kids coming in your hair, household tasks and lots to do. So let's kickstart the conversation without any further ado. And Swati, tell us how the last 6 months have been for you, managing your business and managing all of this from home and taking forward your career.
Well, I think it's not been an easy time for anyone. But I am grateful that all of us are in a good place, work-wise, personally, professionally, everything. And our business also is actually growing now because it's related to Indian e-commerce, and Indian e-commerce is actually growing because most people want to stay home. So on a personal level, I actually spent the first 3 months of lockdown in Ambala with my parents, and I have a 2-year-old nephew Rio who would come to my door and sing "Buga kholo," when I was on calls. But I kind of got used to it, and then he also got used to the fact that from this time to this time he doesn't usually see me. So we've all sort of evolved our routines, and people around us have got used to seeing us at home but not really coming to us, which is a challenge at the start. But I think we settle in fine. And on the work front, we've actually gone from 100 people team to 150 people team all during lockdown. And I never thought that somebody like me, who is so much of a culture and a people person, so to speak, will actually, grow the team so much all without actually meeting people. So that's been really interesting as well. Good learnings, but I can't really complain.
Okay, yes, indeed. So you have managed to juggle that quite well. Moving on then, Somasree, being the head of marketing, it can be a very demanding role. Share with us any, memorable or funny incidents that have taken place during this period of work from home?
I don't know. I mean, I can take 2 examples. One is, I would say, memorable part is that, normally any new product development, which is the core of any marketing function, that typically has a cycle of about 1.5 years. And in last 3 months, we have launched some 40 new products in Godrej consumer products. I mean, agility has gone to a different level altogether. And you're not even meeting your teams and still launching products and seeing them succeed in the market. So it's a great place to be, but that's something that's really made it memorable and maybe redefining a lot of processes that goes into new product development. So that one piece. The funny part is that, a lot of people say that, hey, how are you juggling between, having your child around you 24/7? I have a reverse question. How is my child handling it with me 24/7 around her? Because realistically, with working parents, and my child has just become a teenager, right? With working parents, they are very independent. They have been doing things themselves. So in work from home also, my daughter, Anishka, she has been very, very helpful in terms of even sharing some of the load with us. But the interesting part is, I always ask her, she asks me that, Mama, I don't know what you guys do in office, but then over here, you're like always hovering around me. So please don't keep checking on what I'm doing. So that's something I'm definitely trying to sort of resist myself. Of course, wherever I'm getting time. But yes, I mean, there is that nice admiration that I get from her when she now realizes, now Mama and Papa, I know what you do in office. And that's like that aha moment for us, that finally they know what we do. So yeah, it's been memorable, and I don't know whether it's funny or not, but I think just that 24/7 question is to be asked to children, not to us now. So yeah, that's it from
Okay, yeah, fair enough. She has managed to, see you in the thick of action and, as you said, sharing responsibility. So that's something as well that's quite important to, make sure that children also take on the load, because they have to understand that things are changing. The dynamics at home as well are changing, because I'm sure now a lot of us are accustomed to, for quite a while at least, not having had any house help and having to take on chores on your own. Mansi, let's get in your views as well. I'm sure you're dealing with a lot of working women as well who come to you for advice. What is the most common question that they're asking you, especially at a time when, you really have to juggle work from home with kids being around at all times? It's something that you're not very used to, because you sort of manage to demarcate and separate the both of them while you're off to work. It's a different atmosphere in office. And now, with the memes going around of like, someone just sort of taping up their kids even to the walls to ensure that they don't come in their hair. What's the most, integral question that you get asked?
I think one of the most common questions that working parents have been asking me is, how do I not lose my temper? How do I manage my frustration levels? And how do I manage working from home and being a parent? So where does the boundary between personal and professional lie? I think these are some of the challenges that people are really facing.
Okay. So fair enough. I just wanted to understand then, that is a very relevant question, because, you tend to just let tempers flare at a time like this when all the responsibilities are piling on. What exactly would be your advice then, Mansi, to them?
I generally ask people to learn to say no. What I've realized working with parents, especially women who are being moms and entrepreneurs or working in a profession, is they have trouble saying no. And there's a lot of mommy guilt. I think a lot of us do resonate with that term. Women feel guilty. So saying no, prioritizing, these are two things that are very, very important in helping us keep our mental health well. And that's what I teach them. How do we set boundaries? How do we prioritize? How do we say no so that we can start saying yes to what matters? Identifying our core values at a time like this, because we really need to distill down to what's essential.
Yeah, fair enough. That can be quite challenging at a time like this. Meantime, Parul, on your blog, you're dealing with this quite a few times on a daily basis. So what's the most common topic of discussion, and, some of the challenges that parents, especially moms at this time, are facing, in addition to what, of course, Mansi flagged off?
In fact, I think that's primarily what people are talking about, guilt. Because at the end of the day, if you're a working professional and you're out of the house, going to office, and you come back, you think that, okay, fine, I've spent time outside, now I need to give time to my child. When you're at home and you're not able to do that, it's a huge point of stress for most moms. But I think women have had it really tough. It's work from home has always been a challenge, and I do work from home a lot, even before the pandemic. And I used to always find it very distracting because there are hundreds of things going on, and you're the one who's always going to be called upon for answers to that. Somebody's coming in, household chores and this and that, even if you have house help. But just imagine the added responsibility, the added burden which has come on moms, because ultimately at the end of the day, the other members of the family are not used to helping. They probably, are not in the system. And a lot of it has to do with us that we've really never asked our children to take on chores and, things like that, to take on household responsibilities. So it's overwhelming. It's doubly hard on a single parent, mom or dad. It's just doubly hard on a single parent. So I've been privileged, of course. I have house help with me, but I know a lot of moms, and, on the whole, this has been the sentiment that they are overwhelmed with all the responsibilities. They have families who've not quite understood how to pitch in. And especially in the beginning, I think over time, we've all evolved our systems. We've all kind of made some kind of a, duty roster or a chart or whatever our system is. But I think in the beginning, it was quite challenging for everybody to actually deal with it. And everybody was overwhelmed.
Oh, yes, indeed. I can only imagine right now as we speak while I'm anchoring, sort of trying to keep the noise levels in the house as well on the down low, especially given that we're on air. So now I believe that you ladies have some questions for each other. You want to learn from each other as well as understand how you better operate in your different fields. So I'm going to throw it open. And Swati, I believe you have a question for Somasree.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot to learn. So, like I was mentioning, we have grown our team phenomenally during this lockdown period. And I'm doing a lot to actually keep people engaged, to help them integrate, especially the new people with the existing ones. So I was just curious, how does a company like Godrej, that is, so large, I think at a startup level, it's still easier for me to have a personal connect with everyone. How are you guys managing the team integration? Anything that you're doing for the team, which can be a good takeaway for all of us as well?
Sure. So one thing was there that, we have maintained a level of communication across the organization. So right from the beginning, the minute the lockdown happened, we actually started having town halls, which was addressed by Ms. Nisaba Godrej. And it happened actually quite regularly. In the beginning, it was like every 2 weeks she would be addressing us. That would be followed by our CEO addressing us. And then, it kind of trickled down. And personally, I would sort of do a catch up with my team very, very regularly. Any which ways we do that. But then, also maybe if there is no formal catch up, which is there, have that fun kind of maybe that 1 hour in a week or 1 hour in a month kind of thing, depending on, how frequent you really need it. So sort of understanding what people are going through, asking them questions. And the thing is accepting that you will not have answers to all the questions. Yeah. Right from the top, they actually say, please ask your questions, because the more you ask, the more we'll be prepared to answer the next time. Because right now, I don't know all the questions and I don't have the answer. So one is accepting that vulnerability, that you may not have all the answers, but at least try to get the questions so that you can do that. That I think is the first step. Second is, how do you still keep the teams motivated? Because while in office, there would be a lot of interactions which would lead to a lot of learning. Yeah. That is not happening now. So what we did was in Godrej, we had a lot of these e-learning resources which have been given. And almost about 250 people have enrolled onto those courses. So you see, while at home, reality also is that, and especially for the people commuting in Mumbai or even in Delhi, I guess you would respect that you are getting those 3-4 hours extra in a day, right? Of course, there is the homework that is there. but then, utilizing that time, trying to learn something that you are otherwise not able to do in regular time. So giving those resources to the, team members was very, very important. Also, the other thing, and it was quite interesting and very, very touching for all of us. I think it has happened in quite a few organizations. At home, ergonomically, home may not be the best place, or have the furniture which is ergonomically meant for you to sit for long hours. And reality is that you are sitting for a long time. I mean, I sit in my dining room to work because I have a husband who is working in another room and daughter who is in school in the other room, right? So you won't have that furniture. The first thing, within I think the first 2-3 weeks, Godrej HR sent out a mailer. What are the furnitures you need? And they actually ensured that they sent it from our office to our homes, like the chairs or the keyboard keepers. So across, I felt that, as an organization, they have ensured that every aspect of the employee has been taken care of. And especially for you, Swati, I mean, I don't know how it works, but there are some of these policies, like there are people on ground for Godrej, like sales and distribution manufacturing team are on ground. So there were insurances policies which were given out to ensure that people are safe, and if they're affected, they are taken care of. Giving them one-time allowances to ensure that they buy those kits, sanitizers, etc. So it's all about showing people that you really, really care. So that is at the core of it, And I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't think it's any different whether it's a 160 people organization or a 2000. Caring is common language.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're moving on to the next question, or can I add something to this?
Please do, Swati. Please.
I believe actually Somasree has a question for Parul as well. Let's take that on.
Yeah, sure. In fact, Parul, we have worked quite a bit together. What I would really love to understand is that what's your experience in the mom community during the lockdown? And I mean, while you have answered a part of it in the introduction, would love to understand, and are there any examples of the best ways that the women have been striking that work-life balance? Would really love to understand that, and if we can apply it.
No, in fact, yes, I did mention some of that, like the initial portion was just all about, being overwhelmed with the kind of responsibilities that were thrust upon them. But I think everybody managed to kind of find their zone in probably a month's downtime, the time duration of about a month or two or whatever. And once they managed to do that, it was also a time of self-discovery. So many people have been engaged with us on the platform when we've had programming about, something different, maybe even an exercise routine. So many of them have gone inwards and, have tried to create that work-life balance by actually developing some part of it. And like you mentioned about upskilling, a lot of people have done that, whether it is professionally or even personal life skills and cooking. I mean, we've all seen the way everyone's been cooking. I myself have never cooked in my whole life. I've never cooked the way I'm cooking right now. So for a lot of people, developing life skills, upskilling themselves, or taking, maybe interest in new hobbies has been a huge part of their, their time right now. Also, things like, the concerns and issues, the fears about Corona, those have not gone away. And they've, I think, evolved in a different manner over time. And what I've seen is there's been a huge interest. People want to know, okay, let's filter out all the fake news and everything. That I've seen in general has been a great, a very, very reassuring move, that people want to filter out all this nonsensical forwards and the false information that's doing the rounds, and they want real information. So there's been a huge amount of engagement and association on our programs, where we have experts coming and talking about how to take care of yourself. A mom, a pregnant mom at this time, can you imagine the stress that she would be going through, having a baby in the middle of a pandemic, or even something as simple as should I take the baby to, a hospital for vaccinations? So there's been a lot of fears and concerns on these kind of topics. And I think that is what the mom community is so wonderful, because, we've been able to help each other, answer each other's questions, give them that reassurance that you're not alone, that, everybody's going through this and there is a way out. We've had experts coming and giving their views. So I think it's with a little bit of mutual help and support. It's been a time which we've all seen through together.
Awesome. Thanks. That's really interesting.
Oh, yes, indeed. And Parul as well, I believe you have a question for Somasree.
Yes, I do. And you talked about, I'm going to pick up on what you said, about how you're so happy that your children are seeing a little bit about your work life. And I think that's a huge area of concern, in fact, because a lot of time moms are taken for granted. And, the family, sometimes it's also because of the patriarchal structures that, family doesn't really take interest or doesn't understand what they do. I think this has been a fantastic opportunity for moms to actually give their families an insight into their work life, into their professional life, give them an indication of how hard it is, how hard their day is also before they come home and still work hard. So what are your suggestions? How can moms do that? How can moms include their families, children primarily, into their work lives?
First thing is actually being a little realistic about the whole thing and accepting that, you alone will not be able to do it. I think that acceptance itself, one of you mentioned that there is that huge guilt, that you have. But one suggestion is please don't have that guilt. It's reality. And unless you want to really, struggle and fall ill, your family will not gain out of it. So don't try to do it all. And the respect only comes when you clearly share that, these are the boundaries. This is the time where you can come and talk to me. And these are the times when, it's not okay to have you around. That clarity, maybe time of the day, etc. That's really important. More importantly, engaging her in the day-to-day chores, that really helped us. And also the best part is I would say I'm really blessed to have a great family who have always been, we have been doing things together. My partner, my husband, we have always been doing things together. So it's not like something different that she is seeing right now. But then, yes, the intelligence that has gone up. And there is a clear division of labor. I am supposed to do something and they have their own level of task. So one is being realistic about it. And second thing is definitely having that sort of hobby time that we call it in our family. We do call it hobby time, where three of us have same passion, thankfully, which is music, and we enjoy it together. So either it's music or it's workout sessions that we have, like every day there's that 1 hour session, we do it together. So one is telling them that it is a natural situation and you have to be a part of it, you have to help us out. Second is doing things together so that they also know that they are a part of whatever you are doing. So I think these are the few things that we are ensuring to sort of give her the feel that, this is how our real life is. And, this is how possibly the new normal is going to be. We don't know for how long.
True. That's so true. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That also assumes quite a bit of importance. Mansi, I'm going to take it to you. You have some questions for the ladies. Who would you like to ask?
I actually wanted to ask Parul a question. I've been really curious because a lot of moms have come up to me and they've said that the dynamic of good cop, bad cop parenting is highlighted in this lockdown. So as we know that moms tend to be people who set boundaries, set the law, the rules, discipline in many families. I'm not going to generalize. And fathers become more permissible. So a lot of moms have asked me, how do we balance this role? And I'm curious if you've also had this question being raised in your forums. And what's your opinion on this? That how do we balance this good cop, bad cop parenting style that's come up?
Absolutely. It's such a relevant question. And yes, we faced it so many times. And you know how interesting it is that this role of disciplinarian used to be the dad at some point of time, 2 decades back. Our dads were the disciplinarians in our house. I remember that very clearly. And now the role is completely shifted to the mother. And she's taken on so much more, including the role of disciplinarian. So yeah, I'm the bad cop in my house. From personal experience and of course a lot of discussions with others, one thing that we've realized is that you have to give up control. At the end of the day, pick your battles. Don't fight about everything. You cannot keep saying no to every single thing. And I'm sure that is, when you say that that is the other part of it when you said that learn how to say no. That's the other part, like we cannot possibly be doing everything. So, and when I mean give up control, it's something as simple as, if you've given a chore and you can see that your child is doing it really badly, or even your partner, and you just, out of frustration, you go and you take the dusting ka kapda back and you say, forget it, I'll do it myself. There you go, battle lost, mission accomplished from the child's point of view, and you're back to square one. So I think that is what I meant by, giving up control. And we need to pick our battles. We need to really, figure out what is important and draw those boundaries. I think that is the only way we can keep our sanity alive. So, give up control, be happy with the way things are being done as long as, they're being done. I think that is more important. And pick your battles very carefully. That definitely is one way that you can, get yourself away from that bad cop image and have some kind of peace and sanity in the house.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. We need to pick our battles.
I guess that's a very pertinent point. And Swati?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, we missed you. We didn't hear your voice. What were you saying?
Yes. Yeah, so no, I was just sort of getting in, another question then. And Swati, you had a question for Mansi as well as a counselor in terms of, staying positive. Go ahead with that.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mansi, you're obviously dealing with a lot of people who have issues. How do you keep yourself positive? What do you do for that? Because I'm a big one for routine and meditation and positive energy and all of that. And I wonder if that is something that you look at as well, or what helps you?
I think being in the mental health space, the work that I do is so enriching and fulfilling. It's really how I view my work that determines my own mental health. If I start viewing it as a high pressure job with a lot of responsibilities, or, thinking that, my goodness, the pandemic has increased my workload, I'm going to get stressed. So I do recognize that stress is also a mindset. Stress is not inherently bad. It's how we think of issues that stress us out. So I try to stay away from toxic stress, which is, oh gosh, work is so difficult and there's so much pressure. And there's really high pressure work. So that's one aspect of it, which is more cognitive. And on a self-care level, I do yoga, and I have a fabulous yoga teacher who teaches me meditation, and she works with yoga from a spiritual perspective. So I have a very strong spiritual practice. And like Parul said, I definitely am giving up control. It's not easy, but giving up control is key. If things are not getting done, if the house is not clean, it's okay. I don't need to tell my client we're going to start 10 minutes late because I'm cleaning the house.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
And learning to say no. I say no to my kids now. Earlier, I would get involved in a bit of mommy guilt and not say no. They would say, can I watch TV? I'm like, fine, 15 minutes. I've learned to assert myself and say, I can't do this. This is not workable for me right now. So, for example, I'm doing this interview. I've told them, you can't come in. We're not going to have a discussion on why leaf is falling outside right now. So learning to say no and set some boundaries. I think that's what's really, really kept me going.
Excellent.
Okay, so women, you certainly have shared some pearls of wisdom. It's no easy task, and you seem to be managing it, wading your way, and doing a great job so far. And I'm sure a lot of women who are watching as well are very inspired by some of the advice that you had. And yes, as you said, sometimes really putting your foot down and, creating boundaries, all of that seems to be very important. Swati Bhargava, she is the global entrepreneur, co-founder CashKaro. We had Somasree Bose, head of marketing at Godrej Consumer Products. Parul Ohri, chief editor at Momspresso, as well as Mansi, the founder at Mansitherapy. Ladies, lovely having you with us on the show. Thank you very much for taking time out and joining in and being, of course, so very candid. We'll slip into a quick break, but do stay with us. We've got lots more lined up as we bust the antiviral fabric buzz on the other side. Is it a marketing gimmick, or does it really protect you from COVID? We find out.